what you can't say really in the sales meeting, you can't say that I don't have a product.
Yes.
You know, you need to take it. If you're too much emotionally tied into the company, it won't do any good. I think a business needs to be treated as a business, and then you is you who you are as a person.
Welcome to another episode of the Dan Lok Show, where every single week I bring you founders, CEOs, thought leaders from all over the world and have them share with you their journeys and their insights. Today I have a fascinating guest who has built something quite special, something that you see in the SaaS world, in a very, very competitive market as well. So I want to have him share his journey with you, my good friend, Pietari. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting. Great to be here.
Maybe start with from the beginning. Share with us your journey. How did you even get into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, really. When I worked for other company before founding Vainu, I always thought that something is missing, and entrepreneurship is what I want. So I guess that runs in my veins, and I'm always sort of a problem solver. I always look around, think of what could be better. And I think this company we founded with two of my friends, I think this was a big enough problem to solve, in the sense that let's make it a daily living. So I guess that's how it all started. Really, I would say just I worked in sales, SaaS sales, and then really prospecting was maybe one of the biggest pains, really.
Yes, for all salespeople.
For all salespeople. It's really funny. It takes so much time. At least back in the days when there weren't good tools, it took so much time to find good companies, specifically when you're in a competitive, sales team. Took so long. So we thought that this might be something that we could dive into and see if data could solve the problem. And That's what it was.
So I love that, because I always say that every pain, it could be a product, right? So then you start this. You started in sales. You saw something that, hey, if I have this problem, maybe other salespeople have this problem as well, right?
Exactly.
From the conceptual idea to actually launching the product, how long did that take?
So that really didn't take so much time. The funny thing is really that we sold, I think it was 10 or 15 licenses without having the product itself. So,
how did you do that? Talk to us about that. That's fascinating. I love that.
That was really a trick to do, because what you can't say really in the sales meeting, you can't say that I don't have a product.
Yes.
You need to take it till you make it. And then when, of course, you're in a sales meeting and, you have a product to sell, a lot of people ask, hey, why don't you show me the product? All the thing you need to say, you need to convince that why showing a product isn't part of your sales strategy. So that's why I can't show it yet. But we were very good at convincing that in 3 months you get access to the product, which was August 2014, and they got really. So I would say that from the initial idea when we started building the product until really get it out for the customers took 6 to 9 months to get the first version out, and during that time we really sold the first customers as well.
When you were creating the products, did you have a very clear avatar in mind? Like, hey, I'm going to go after some of the biggest, organizations like enterprise, or were you like, let me maybe test this first, and then we'll see how we can pursue some of these bigger accounts? Because you have like now UPS and Salesforce. I mean, these are huge companies, right?
Yeah, they are the ones that came in first. I think typically the easiest customers to acquire, so to speak, is SMBs.
Yes.
Very, very short cycles, decision-making cycles. You can directly talk
quick
to the decision maker.
Yeah. You don't need to go through the layers and food chain, right? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we really started. And then also, like, for the bigger companies in Finland, individual sales teams bought our prospecting platform, and as they saw it worked, it was good, then they wanted to expand it, and eventually integrate it to the CRM. So that's I think really how it started in the first place.
Because sometimes a lot of entrepreneurs, they feel like, okay, I have to have my product absolutely perfect, right? Before I get into the marketplace. I love your approach because you're like, hey, I don't even know if people want this thing yet, right? And you go out there and just basically sell it to the world and say, hey, I've got this. It's going to be available soon in a few months. But let's take the orders. Let's sign a contract first, right? So then you go build it. I love that. And with that, so within the company, you mentioned you have a few partners, right? So who are you more the salesperson and your co-founders? Is it one or two?
There's three founders.
Three founders,
okay. And two of us are like operative. One is only a shareholder. So
got it. So are your co-founders, are they more on the tech side? You're more your responsibility, what do you focus on as a founder?
In the beginning, sales was the one to get the product out there. That was my main focus. And then of course, working with the sales team. These days, what I do mostly is working with the product and then with the bigger customers so that I can really talk to them and understand how really to solve their pain. I think talking to the customers is one of the most important things. So that's what I do these days, product mainly.
Got it. Maybe share with us a little bit about Vinyl, the product, like what does it do, who does it serve? Maybe walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, what we do is that we first of all we collect huge amount of company data, unstructured company data. So that comes from company websites. It can come from different portals.
Okay, so taking all the data. Okay.
All the data from the web, but also from like governmental filings and all over the place. And then we structure it into a one unified data repository, really. And then on top of that, what we do is we build a product. And what the product really does is three things. You're able to, of course, search good companies, good prospects. Then what you're able to integrate your CRM and to trigger and to push leads and opportunities from our data set to the to your respective CRM. And then we have the third feature is that if you want to update huge amount of data real time, wherever it would be, AWS or your CRM or some other places, we have an interface where you can update huge amount of company data that we have. So those are really the three main things what our app or platform does.
Got it.
The company data that we collect.
Got it. And what's the business model? How do you charge clients? How do you charge companies? Those are three areas and three pillars, right? Like how do you do? Is it? I'm curious. Like for the pricing model.
In the very beginning, we really charge from seats. How many seats are you using the platform?
Okay, so how many salespeople they put on to that thing?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But these days, as the platform has developed and we sell like a lot of data to the CRMs, it's really about how many accounts are you enriching and what data sets are you enriching with. So it's sort of there's two ways of looking into. So if you're enriching a lot of different data points and a lot of data, then it's a big account. And the smaller it goes, the less they pay.
What would be, if you give me an example, like a small account would be like on average, like say the value of per year versus like a big account, what would be considered a big account?
I would say a small account is in dollars 4,000 in annual.
Nice, okay.
And then the large accounts are in we have $300,000-$400,000 per year. So that's sort of the
Nice. I assume also the stick rate is very good because once they started using it, I don't see them stop using it because you already have all the data, right?
Yeah. That's actually a good point. I mean, the bigger there's a huge trend in terms of how big the company is.
Yes.
The stickier it is, and the smaller the companies, the unstickier it is. It's prospecting platforms are really easy to buy. Because the sales director typically wants, okay, here's a tool for my sales team. Now they start selling. But that rarely happens. The SMB sales teams, they don't adapt that necessarily into new things. But for the bigger companies, when you integrate the data into their existing processes, you're able to show value. They never leave, which is cool.
Yes. So the small accounts, because of resources, and maybe they are not as tech savvy either, right? So the adoption rate is an issue as well, right?
Yeah. There, I think the smaller the company, the more anxious they're trying new things, and then when they might see it's a good thing or they might not see it. But when a bigger company, they have like laid out their strategy. If there's sort of a data-driven strategy written in their strategy document, we know that we fit right in, and then they are, then they work with us for 1 or 2 years even to see if that solution works, and then it works, and then we go on and on and on. So it's sort of the bigger the company, the more sort of it's more of a sticky thing, I would say. That's how it.
For my audience, let's say they are selling to enterprise or even B2B. What are some of the strategies that you have used to get these accounts? Like, what works for you?
Yeah, I think so. Since what differs us from, let's say, from a CRM space, the CRM is a space. When you want the CRM, there's Salesforce, there's Dynamics,
HubSpot,
So then you choose between one of those. What we really had to do and still have to do a lot, we really need to sell. We need to create the space, sort of sell the concept of how company data really works for your business. And then and our problem in the beginning was really that when everybody is interesting, so we get our foot in the door in every single place, and then we sell our concept, and the next question is, okay, so what happens next? So what do we do next? And then typically when we didn't have a very clear solution in the sense that how it works exactly for the enterprises, with a clear understanding from the customer, then we adopted this what we call a workshop with the customer, where we invite this is for the bigger customers. So we invite all the stakeholders in, and they tell their pains. There's typically business pain, then there's technical pain, and then there's a marketing pain, and they all come together, and then our people are there, and then we come with a very concrete solution in terms of how our platform integrates with their processes and into which solutions, and how the value could be shown for the customer. And then we show the actual proposal. So the bigger the company is, the sales process, we've been sort of slicing it a lot into different stages.
And how long does it take even in the beginning to get some of those accounts? It's like a 3-month sales cycle, 4-month sales cycle?
It depends. There's companies that we think should be our customers, and it's the 3rd year we're still doing our job. And for some, it can be 1 month, 2 months. They've decided in their in the strategy document, data-driven marketing is what we want to do. And then we come in and they say this fits right in. How do we get started? So that's a sort of. It depends a lot.
Cool. And when you were prospecting, did you connect with them on the website, on LinkedIn, or like what approach works?
So typically, as I said, we don't have that big problems on getting the meeting really.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That's the first meeting is fairly easy to get because data-driven marketing is sort of that everybody wants to hear who is the new kid on the block kind of thing. So so that's very easy, but we use typical tools. Sometimes pure outbound if we know that this is just a perfect fit for her or him. We just call them out.
And do you always do you aim to talk to the VP of sales or the director of sales?
VP of sales, yes, and then CMOs.
Okay.
Yeah, they own the budget typically for the CRMs and marketing automation. So that's our sweet spot really. And we have a pretty good contact database, pretty good content in the sense like what you do as well, very good in the content. So we get a fairly good amount of the right inbounds, I would say.
Inbound,
so
cool. And then one of the things that you talked about is about like product-led growth, right? It's not just marketing. Like share with us a little bit. Can you deep dive into that just a bit?
Yeah, that's really. I think product-led growth is really a buzzword specifically, and who wouldn't like to have a product that sells itself?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely so. I think so. Our experience about that is really about, as I think I mentioned before, but during the past few years we've made a sort of a strategy shift where we want to focus more on companies that really have defined sales processes and want to integrate the data so that really the product sticks, and they're sort of being able to create the product that fits their needs. It's sort of, I'm not an expert of that, but I just wanted to bring that out in the sense that it's a really revealing experience for the company to think, how should you think in the eyes of a customer in order to build the product. It requires very brave decisions as well, I would say.
It's also very interesting because my background is marketing. We're very, very good with marketing, and now in the software world, what we notice is I used to have this belief that, hey, you know what, marketing solves all the problems, right? I can come up with an offer, I can sell it, I can market it, I can do all of that. But the funny thing is, if we have a product that is not a good fit for the market, or maybe not quite precisely on point, right, spot on, what we notice is we spend money on marketing, we drive the growth, but the customers, they're not sticking. So it's like it's like you have a leaky bucket. So you keep putting water into it, it keeps leaking, right? Versus when we have something that works, it just kind of grows, right? You don't need to force the growth. You can still do marketing, but it kind of just organically grows month after month, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think because we don't have any funding on the background, so we're bootstrapped from the beginning.
Really? Do you have investors now?
I'm sorry?
Do you have investors now, or you still just the same?
Yeah, still the same. So we don't.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And when it comes to the product-led growth aspects and maybe learnings from the past, I think in the very beginning we created the product to be easily sold.
Got it.
Not necessarily that easy to be used.
Yes.
Which then comes back to exactly your point.
Yes.
And now I guess what we want to do is, and what I guess is exactly the product-led growth idea, is that we need and want to create a product that is easy to use. and through that it will be easy to sell as well. Got it.
But now also you have a number of big companies using it. So does it become easier now? Hey, so and so, all these big companies will use our product. Here's what it is, right?
Yeah, of course it's. I mean, the references are everything,
Yes.
and so.
So Salesforce. What are some of the other big companies that are your clients right now?
Well, I think all the bigger logistic companies are ours, and then we're very heavily focused in the Nordics. So the biggest telcos in the Nordics are practically all our customers. Then we have all the Oracle or NetSuite is then and all the big US software companies. They are and specifically in the angle that I guess they have in Ireland, they have their sales teams in Ireland, and then they want to target the Nordics. So specifically for that aspect, we have
How big is your team now?
We are 150.
Cool. Very cool. So do you now spend most of your time still in sales, or more like now operation probably?
I'm more in the product and more in the operation, I would say as well. And then I don't spend that much time in sales management.
Of course.
Yeah, but I spend a lot of time with customers and sales meetings. So that's what I do. So I work a lot with sales, with our sales reps, and so when there's a cool customer.
So you're meeting with customers so that you have a good pulse of what they want, right? And then communicate back to your core team and also the sales team, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool. Very cool. Do you find that since let's say the pandemic, did that affect your business? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think the pandemic. So what we did is that in the beginning of 2020, end of 2019, we sort of made a decision to the new strategy to focus on the bigger customers and to solutions that integrate. And I think now what Corona did, it accelerated that change that we wanted to do really. And of course when and how it really affected, I think it's that in the smaller customers, they churned a bit more. But then on the bigger customers, what happened specifically last fall, they started much more of these digital customer journey projects, and a lot of these remote sales really supports the trend that we are on. So they started a lot of these things, and that was a good thing, obviously, for us.
Interesting. So you were thinking about, okay, we're going to focus more on enterprise, bigger accounts. When the pandemic happens, okay, guys, we really need to focus on that. And the companies were more like, also, okay, we need more remote salespeople. We want to focus more on digital marketing. So it's kind of like both things happen at the same time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So exactly a year ago, I think the big companies, everything stopped. So it was like,
what's going on?
We had offers in the last stage of signing a big, and everything just stopped. But then after summer last year, then I think it started really on a boom. A lot of companies started these projects when it comes to like customer journeys, digital customer journeys.
And in the marketplace, because this is a massive marketplace, also competitive. How do you differentiate yourself from the competitors? Like besides connecting with customers, knowing what they want.
So I think our sweet spot currently where the growth really comes from is the Nordics. So whenever there's any company wanting to have Nordic company data, it's like, then I don't know if we've ever lost a tender when it comes to that. So that's where we are strong. Then where we are also very strong compared to others when it comes to a more global perspective is connectors and the integration. So how easy it is to connect and update company data into these bigger platforms. So that's how we've won a lot of good cases as well. And then the third aspect is that where we feel stronger than our competition is understanding content from websites. So what we can understand a lot of insights from companies' websites, like what kind of categories what kind of company it really is, what kind of information we can get there to help people do better sales. So I think those two.
And when you say organic, you're talking mainly like maybe your blog content, like your content, your articles, all of that on the site. Any other kind of organic marketing you do as well?
The organic marketing, what we do, we have, it's really in the beginning, but I think it'll be a bigger thing is we share free company data.
Interesting.
Yeah, which then people, when they look into some company information, whatever it would be, they'll come to our sites, and that's a good place to show the data, show what we have. Yeah, so that's what we do a lot. Then and a lot of like content driven stuff is that what we do as well.
Cool. Because I have trained tens of thousands of salespeople, all remote, right? And that's like one of the things as a trainer. In terms of sales, because you mean your background is sales, you're in sales, right? It's just a little different now. And how do you see, let's say, B2B sales has changed? Like maybe since when you were in it compared to today, like what do you see some of the changes within how B2B sales is done? Salespeople, what they need to be aware of? Just what do you see in the last few years, some changes?
Yeah. I think so when I started in 2009, something like that. It was a lot of manual work, a lot of data, a lot of manual work, a lot of going surfing in the internet, and then much more easier to get hold of people. I guess that's what it was like 10 years ago.
Yes.
and then I think, yeah, well, of course, the inbound marketing has changed quite a bit. The daily job of a sales rep in 2010. I think when it comes to 2020, it will be more. I feel that the CRMs where the reps are in, it will be more of sort of driven by data, not only built by it. Meaning so that there will be more and more automated actions towards the salespeople driven by data. What should you do? Where should you call? How should you say it? What should you communicate with this person or that person? So a lot of manual, what repetitive job that we've done manually before will be automated, so that we as salespeople can really be the, talk, engage in dialogue with the with partners and such. So I guess that's how it will be, that repetitive jobs will be automated by data, and salespeople will be more in the tables where the business is done, I would say.
I agree. It's almost like back in the days, the salespeople are more, it's just through grinding, work, hustle, right? Like pick up the phone. Yeah. But now I think the closers, I call them closers, who are more tech savvy, they will have an unfair advantage because they can make data-driven decision. They can use technology to automate a lot of their mundane, repetitive tasks, right? Okay. So they kind of focus on what I call high-value activities, right? It's when you need that closing on the phone connect, and you go for the close versus all this admin stuff that they used to have to do.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Now they no longer have to do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that. Throughout the journey when you're building your company, because I want to talk to also entrepreneurs, right? Where when you were growing, bootstrapping from really a few founders to the team of 150 people. By the way, that's amazing. Congratulations. That's amazing. Thanks. I know how hard that is. So and in a short period of time. And throughout that journey, what are some of the lessons that you have learned as a founder, right, as a leader of the company, that you will share with like all the other entrepreneurs that are listening?
Yeah, well, I think one thing I've learned in the very beginning, and I think I still need to remind myself sometimes back home as well, is that the company is not you. So I mean, in the sense that if it goes extremely well for the company, it necessarily doesn't mean that you're the best person on earth, or the other way around. If it goes south, you're not the worst person on earth. So ability to separate the company from the personal you, I think that is a very good. How would I put it? That's the way how you can go through hardships as well. when because there will be some. That's for sure. I can tell even already now.
Yes. So separate yourself. You are not the business. The business is the business, right?
Yeah,
if you're doing well, the business shouldn't be depending on you. It's depending on the team and the systems in place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I think that's. And then also like emotionally. So I mean, not to get too much tied into your business. I think if you're too much emotionally tied into the company, it won't do any good. I think a business needs to be treated as a business, and then you is you who you are as a person.
Do you find that throughout the different stages, maybe the first 10, 20 employees, the 30 employees, at what point that you felt it's like, oh, this is the hardest transition from right?
I think it started after 100, 150, because it's there are certain processes. The dynamics of the company really changes, I would say, because there's certain processes comes in, and there's a little bit more money involved, and you start to really have certain power above certain power over things that really matter, and the dynamics changes quite a bit. I think after 100, that's what I say was the toughest transition, I would say. I think,
and also a few more layers, right, as well. It's not as feel like a close knitted a group. Right now, you communicate with your executive, right?
Yeah, and all the there's all when it's a startup, it's just, bunch of friends, we do this together kind of thing.
Yes.
Then after that, it starts to be, rules and regulations,
more corporate for sure.
Yeah, all these things come in. So yeah.
Yes. What's the vision you have for the company? Like where you think it's going in, let's say, in a few years?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited, of course, where it will go. I'm happy about is that I think the trend we are riding, in terms of data driving more business B2B marketing decisions is so strong that whatever we do, we'll do good. and so that's why I'm at least say very excited about the future. Also, when it comes specifically to our company, what I like, we are soon getting major product releases out, and we're able to do better and better stuff for our customers, and also the customers themselves, independent from us, are starting to be more ready to adopt tools what we serve. So I'm really positive for the future. To be
it's also nice because it's just a few founders. You fund it yourself, so you don't have the pressure of you have to force growth. You kind of have the little bit of the luxury of creating the best product, doing things properly, and just, no, I don't want to say take it slow, but you can do things at your own pace, what you feel is right.
Yeah, I think that's, always if there are any discussions with investors or any of these, one of their first questions are really that, so how is your ARR looking end of this year or after H1?
Yeah.
When you don't have investors, you have only the founders and the vision. It's, you just need to make sure that there's cash enough in the bank, and then be persistent of doing just executing your vision. So I think that's a cool
Are you
part.
still running the company quite lean and mean, and like the founder is still growing in, and you're not taking too much money out?
Yeah. I mean, definitely not taking too much money out. That's
not enough.
Yeah. But yeah, very very lean in that sense that we specifically we don't have too much like layers. I would say that
Are most of your team members remote? Are they in like Finland? Are they?
They are, the product team, engineering team is, everybody's remote these days, but where they live is in Finland, then of course some sales and marketing in Finland, but then all over Europe where we have people working.
Nice. And though your focus, I assume then the market is more in Europe, like that's where your base is, you have all the connections.
I think, there's, I mean, in our, everybody knows ZoomInfo, and it's been very successful in US and multi-billion-dollar IPO.
Yes.
That kind of thing is sort of missing in Europe. That there is not a like a big significant player in company data like in ZoomInfo in Europe. So I guess that's the bet that everybody is wishing for. Who will be that?
It's very true, because I have most of my clients, entrepreneurs that I advise and consult with, the ones at least 50% of them from Europe, right? And I find that within the markets and different pockets of market, right? It is just so much easier to get traction because it's just such an emerging market. You have less competition, less noise, right? Versus in US, of course, it's big market, but it's also more saturated, right?
Yeah, it is. The better thing with US though is that once you get the ball rolling, it's just one market. You just enjoy the ride. In Europe, you have little Finns here, then you have some Swedes and French and German. They have all their own cultural legislation, all that. So it's a bit more complicated. But I mean, in the sense that less competition, that's for sure. So that's definite positive side of it.
Yeah, and their market is big enough. It's like sometimes like it's called lag time. You see something that works in US, you put it in other countries. Suddenly, like there would be a few years delay, right? And same thing you see in Asia too, right? In Asia here, back and forth. I see it in Asia where before, example, like all the bigger tech companies in China would be like copying ideas from the US. of, hey, here's
Yeah,
what works.
yeah.
You got a
Yeah.
PayPal, let's set up something here, right? You've got to, like, you know, it's the same thing, but now it's like the other way around, simply because of sheer volume of people. They can test things so much quicker. And you would see that the tech now is kind of the opposite. Now the US is looking at what are you guys doing, right? What are some ideas we can take it back to the US? So it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it's the world is changing.
Yes, for sure. And what about your personal goal? Like that's the company, your personal goal. What's your personal goal? Where you want to be in a few years?
Well, that's a good question. I think professionally, I think what I want to see is that I want to see that that the path we've chosen with the company has been a victory, a success.
Yes.
And then whatever that means, I don't know, but I know when I feel it, you know. And that's really what I would say, that I'm happy when I have the feeling that the company has been successful in the path that we've chosen. So that's really my goal professionally, I would say.
And I love, like, as I interview so many founders, one thing I notice is the founders who focus on money usually don't make a lot of money. The founders who focus on clients and the product and the market, like the most successful founders I've on the show, like who build massive companies, like they don't even talk about money. They just talk about, hey, here's the product, I'm doing this project. They talk a lot about people. Like, you know, my team and all that. And they're the one who runs, you know, 100 million, 200 million, $1 billion companies, right? It's the one that's like doing a few million. They're like, oh man, how do I get, you know, money and sales? It's a very interesting paradigm. I just find that to be.
I think it's, I don't know, this just might be my thinking, but I've been thinking that the people that do not ask for a raise, is specifically in the sales. I'm talking now sales. So the people that do not ask for a raise typically are the ones that earn the most. So I think because, you know, working hard, getting the commissions in, and therefore going further. I don't know, but I agree with you that the less you talk about the money, it most likely will turn out so that will make them.
Because I always say, like, money earned is nothing more than a byproduct of value creation, right? When you create value, the money's there. It's like, hey, if I know I'm good, I know my product is good, I know the money will be there, I don't need to think about it, right? It's only if I question if my thing is good or not, then, or my skill is good or not, like salespeople, then, oh man, I want more of this, I want more commissions, I want this. And the ones who are good, like, I'm gonna close sales, I'm gonna make commissions. I don't need to talk about this, right?
It might, at least based on my personal experience. So might be some other experience as well.
Cool. Pietari, one last question. If you have an opportunity to go back, let's say 10 years or even 15 years, to have a conversation with your younger self, right? Yeah. What would you say to a younger version of you?
I would say, be patient.
Be patient.
10, 15 years ago, you thought time is running out, but, you know, 10 years later, sitting here, still with the same dream. So, I mean, I would say be patient. I think that's what I would say to him.
So you actually have more time than you think.
Exactly.
Love that. I love that. And for my audience who wants to find out more about your company and also maybe to connect with you through LinkedIn, and I'll make sure to put in the show notes as well, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I think LinkedIn is best, of course, through our website. And I think those two are the best ways to get in touch.
And it's vainu.com.
Exactly.
vainu.com. Awesome. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you for sharing your journey with us and being so generous with your time as well. I appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you very much.